Welcome back to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest, but first let's hear from our podcast sponsors. We want to thank our newest sponsor, Final Forms. Final Forms is the industry leader in registration. But you need to know this, Final Forms is more than registration. Final Forms is a team, it's technology, and it's service that serves schools with compliance, communication, and risk management solutions. Final Forms can help your stakeholders with mobile accessibility and reminders for parents, including policies, physicals, and forms for student athletes. It can manage team communication, attendance, and certification for coaches, and eligibility, rosters, and reports for athletic directors. It's time that you talk with a team that's walked in your shoes. Take the next steps to find out what Final Forms can do for you. Go to finalforms.com/Jake for more information. Once again, go to finalforms.com/Jake and find out exactly what Final Forms can do for you and your program. We also want to thank Violet Defense. Violet Defense is dedicated to protecting our world from germs by bringing the power of UV disinfection to everyday spaces. Their patented technology enables them to harness the power of the sun to incorporate ultraviolet light into products and environments like never before. Whether you're ready to implement existing products, or if you'd like to explore researching and developing a custom deployment of their technology for your school, Violet Defense has the solutions and the experience you need. Go to violetdefense.com for more information about this great product. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive. You know, it's becoming harder and harder to fund an athletic department these days, but Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards can generate $10,000 or more every year while creating excitement in the gym and the ultimate game day experience for your athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com, or you can call them at 832-786-0302 to schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com for more information. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com and find out exactly what these fantastic products can do for you. We also want to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. You can find out more about what Hometown Ticketing can do for you and your program by going to hometownticketing.com. Hometown Ticketing. Simple and easy online ticketing. And we also want to thank Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. You know, they're on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. They have a variety of interactive touchscreen video consoles, along with an extensive library of templates to make it easier than ever to recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. For ideas on how to showcase your school's diverse history, along with your proudest moments, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Or to learn more and get started with your digital Wall of Fame tribute, call them at 614-981-3589, or you can email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to thank Huddle. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. More than 180,000 teams, including some of the best in the world, use Huddle to elevate the performance of their teams using video and analytics. Huddle's the complete performance platform. They have online tools, mobile and desktop apps, smart cameras like the Huddle Focus. Of course, there's analytics and a whole lot more. Huddle's also built for every level of play, from club and youth programs all the way through high school and college teams, and even the pros are using Huddle to help their athletes play better. You're in pretty good company with over 6 million users, including your student athletes, a lot of their parents, and the coaches of the teams you're trying to get to recruit your kids. If you want to find out more about what Huddle can do for you and your athletic department and how your school can become a Huddle school, go to huddle.com and talk to their professionals. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment of our podcast. Athletic surveys by LifeTrack are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic department. Athletic surveys by LifeTrack also connects you with the 95% of the parents and the student athletes who really love your program. And it gives them a voice to help demonstrate the importance that a quality athletic experience has for them. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out their testimonials, and then give them a call at 1-800-738-6466, or you can email them at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your student athletes or your parents, you're really missing out. Go to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack and let them show you how to take your athletic program from good to great. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're headed back to Kentucky, and we're going to be visiting with Donna Moir from Sacred Heart Academy in Louisville. She is the athletic director. She's also the girls varsity basketball coach, a very successful coach, and she'll get into that later in the interview. But Donna, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jake. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we appreciate you taking time to share. We've been to Kentucky a couple of times, and you certainly come highly recommended. And it's an exciting time for you. You mentioned your team just qualified, for the Sweet 16 there in Kentucky. Very cool. But let's go and get started with you. We always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us that 5-minute bio, where you were born and grew up and went to school, and kind of how your path led you to Sacred Heart.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky. I actually went to Sacred Heart as a high school student, and then went on to play at the University of Cincinnati. I actually played basketball and golf up at the University of Cincinnati. I don't know how I did it, but I did. Graduated from UC, and then played about 3 to 4 years of professional golf, played some of the mini tours, played in a couple of LPGA events, knew I wasn't going to make a living at professional golf. So I was married and we came back home, and strange story, but the basketball coach job came open at Sacred Heart, and so did the athletic director job. So when I was hired back about 30 years ago, you had to have a full-time position in the school. So the only thing they had open to be a basketball coach was the athletic director. So I took on being a varsity basketball coach and the athletic director at Sacred Heart all at the same time. So my career runs about 30 years at Sacred Heart. I've been blessed to have just surround myself with a lot of great coaches, great players, administrators, and parents, and all that just kind of made us successful. Fun fact, my dad played football at the University of Louisville, and the quarterback on his team was Johnny Unitas, and he's actually my godfather. So been around sports my whole life. I just love them. I love competing. I love seeing girls challenge themselves and having success, and and being a role model to a lot of student athletes.
Oh, wow. I always love hearing the stories, and I think we're similar in age. I think I'm a little bit older than you, but my dad was a huge Johnny Unitas fan when I was growing up. So very cool to hear that. Yeah. Talk a little bit about those early years, coming on. Again, you weren't just straight out of college. You'd been a pro athlete, obviously, on the women's tour, but coming in that leadership position, both as a coach and an AD, how was that, let's say, back in the day?
It was, I look back because I had 2 young kids at the time. Now I have 4 grown kids, and I think back and say, gosh, how did I do it? But I was determined as a female athletic director, basketball coach, a young mom, that you could do it all. And so I was determined. Obviously, I had a lot of support from my husband, my family. I had an amazing babysitter that helped me with my kids, and but I was determined to show people that you could have a career, you could have a family, and you could be successful. So starting back, put in a lot of long hours. It takes a while as an athletic director, you're only as good as your coaches and your players, and so it took me a while to get the coaching staff that I wanted. I wanted to make sure our kids had the opportunities to be seen by colleges, to play the toughest schedules, to be challenged every day. And so it fell, it was tough. I mean, the AD before me kind of threw everything away. So I walk in and I'm trying to build schedules, learned a lot on the job. I tell people, I don't know if, given the situation, if somebody would have hired me today, because I didn't have a lot of experience in the school or being experienced as an athletic director, but I hope to think that it paid off taking me. So.
Well, I think it's safe to say that Sacred Heart's pretty happy they hired you back then. Okay.
Yeah, probably.
For our listeners, we're visiting with Donna Moir. She's the athletic director and the girls varsity basketball coach at Sacred Heart Academy in Louisville, Kentucky. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back. Please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to thank Huddle for their support of the Educational AD Podcast. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. Over 180,000 teams use Huddle to help the performance of their teams and their athletes using video and analytics. Huddle is the complete performance platform. They have online tools, mobile and desktop apps, smart cameras like the Huddle Focus. Of course, there's analytics and a whole lot more. Huddle is also built for every level of play, from club and youth programs all the way through high schools and colleges, and even the pros are using Huddle to help their teams play better. You're in pretty good company with over 6 million users, including your student athletes, a lot of their parents, and the coaches of the teams you're trying to get to recruit your kids. If you want to find out more about what Huddle can do for you and your programs and how your school can become a Huddle school, go to huddle.com and talk to their professionals. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. We're back with Donna Moir, certified master athletic administrator and the AD and girls basketball coach at Sacred Heart in Louisville, Kentucky. Coach, we always like to give our guests a chance to talk about the mentors that they've had in their life, the people that have helped us, helped you along the way. None of us get here on our own. So who are some of the people that helped you along the way in your career?
Oh gosh, I'd say, starting off, obviously my family, my dad, my brother were big role models to me. I competed with my brother every day growing up, and no matter what sport, whether it was golf, basketball, tennis, whatever. And my mom and dad were both college. My dad was a college athlete, but my mom grew up playing athletics. And I was the youngest of 4 girls, and then I had a brother. So, the whole world of Title IX was just kind of opening up. And I never felt growing up that I didn't have an opportunity that my brother had, which I give a lot of credit to my dad and my mom, because they were always like, Donna, you can do whatever you want to do. And they were always big supporters of mine. So those 2 people in particular, my brother, Bob, fun story. I'm actually coaching his daughter on my basketball team. She starts for my basketball team. So life comes full circle for sure. Those 3 big influences in my life, and some professional. I had the opportunity to play college basketball for Seal Berry, who was she's in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. Coached me at Cincinnati, then went out to have an outstanding coaching career at Colorado, and then got into was a senior women's athletic administrator at the University of Colorado. She's been instrumental in my life, and then. At the high school level was a coach named Bunny Doherty, who kind of got everything started at Sacred Heart. She was my high school coach, a big mentor, a big cheerleader for me, all growing up. So, those would be people I relied on. And then, through the years, I had a lot of great administrators that I worked through at Sacred Heart, principals, Dr. McAuliffe, Mary Lee McCoy, Sister Louise Marie, who gave me the opportunity to coach. So had a lot of that. And then, we have a pretty tight knit athletic directors association in the city of Louisville. We call it the 6th and 7th Metro Athletic Directors. And, just a lot of athletic directors were there for me when I had questions. I could rely on them to call, to answer my questions, to kind of help mentor me along the way. And hopefully I've been able to do that for other athletic directors now.
Oh yeah. Again, I think it's cool that, you've been able to have coaches along the way that, you mentioned your college coach, going on to other positions and then going on to administration, great to watch their career grow as yours did as well. Okay. Very neat. We're going to go ahead and take another quick break, but we're going to be back with some more. We're visiting with Donna Moir, a certified master athletic administrator and the director of athletics and head girls basketball coach at Sacred Heart Academy in Louisville, Kentucky. Please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to welcome our newest sponsor, Final Forms. Final Forms is the industry leader in athletic registration, but you got to know this. Final Forms is much more than registration. Final Forms is a team, it's technology, and it's service for schools in the areas of compliance, communication, and even risk management. Final Forms can help your stakeholders with mobile accessibility, reminders for parents about policies, physicals, and forms for student athletes, can help coaches with team communication, with attendance, and even certification management. And for ADs, the eligibility reports, rosters, and everything associated with being an athletic administrator, Final Forms can do. It's time for you to talk with a team that's walked in your shoes. Take the next steps to find out what Final Forms can do for you and go to finalforms.com/Jake for more information. One more time, that's finalforms.com/Jake to get started. Welcome back, everyone. We're visiting with Donna Moir, the athletic director and girls basketball coach at Sacred Heart Academy in Louisville, Kentucky. Donna, you're a certified master athletic administrator, and we have a lot of younger listeners that I don't think are quite involved yet or don't understand about the importance of getting involved at the state and the national level. So share your story a little bit. How'd you find out about your state association and how'd you get involved with NIAAA?
When I was a young athletic director, you're just trying to survive, so, all my focus was primarily, on Sacred Heart, spent a lot of time with my coaches, with the players, doing games. And I realized like I needed to kind of expand my horizons and get involved in some other things. So, we have a state AD conference that we have every April. So I usually attend that. And then, they kind of promote your CMA certificate and all that. So I decided that I wanted to do that I was going to be a career, I wanted to make a career in being an athletic director and be known as both, not only a coach, but a good athletic director. So I started taking all the courses, took the test, passed it on the first time, which I was proud of. So got that. And then, being a member of the NIAAA, I knew the importance of that. And so I went on and paid the $800 and got to be a lifetime member of that. So, it's those organizations are important. It's important that, like I said, as an athletic director and being a successful one too, that you be seen and that, you buy into what everybody else is preaching. And so it helped me get a raise being a CMA, it helped me, we got a raise at school for, for attaining that goal. And it's just been really important because I think you have to, like I said, broaden your horizons, just get outside of your comfort zone of your school and get involved in other things.
Again, as a longtime member of the NIAAA certification committee, I wouldn't be doing my job, my former job, if I didn't promote certification. Share very briefly your CMAA project and how that came together.
Oh, I didn't have to do one of those. We had to, like when I did it, you had to take like the 504, all the classes leading up to the, and then we had to pass a test. So I didn't have to do a project.
Okay. Well, again, for those of you listening, as Donna just shared, very important to get involved at your state level and also at the national level. Go to the NIAAA.org website for more information about that. We are visiting with Donna Moir, athletic director and varsity girls basketball coach at Sacred Heart Academy in Louisville, Kentucky. We're going to hear some more, but first let's hear from one of our podcast sponsors. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive for their support of the podcast. You know, it's becoming harder and harder to fund an athletic department, but Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards can generate $10,000 or more every year while creating excitement in the gym and the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or call them at 832-786-0302 to schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com and find out exactly what these fantastic products can do for you. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com. Welcome back, everyone, to the Educational AD Podcast. Coach, one of the things we try to do with the podcast is this idea of sharing best practices. So I'm going to put you on the spot. What are some things that you do at Sacred Heart, or maybe you've seen other places, but what are some things that you do that you're particularly proud of, that when you take a step back, you can say, boy, we really do a great job at this? Do you have anything you can share with us?
I think one of the things that we do is every year we do a t-shirt for every young lady that plays a sport at Sacred Heart. And our theme, we've been doing this about 5-6 years, and our theme is one team. And it's like 15 sports, one team. So you know, we have 15 varsity sports, and we try to promote it as being one team, that, you know, the swim team isn't favored over the volleyball team or something. And so everybody gets a t-shirt, list all the sports. And then before each season, my assistant and I will go to each team and we'll kind of explain the whole concept that, you know, even though we're, like I said, we're 15 different teams, we're all one team and we're all supporting each other. So they all can wear those t-shirts proudly. They wear to, you know, pep rallies or whatever. And we promote, you know, and I tell kids, I'm like, hey, if you want people to support your team, then you got to get out and you got to support other people's teams. So, you know, because I think a lot of people say, oh, nobody comes to our games, you know, and I'm like, well, do you go out and go to other people's games? Do you go out and support, you know, your teammates at other things? So that's kind of one of the cool things we do. We do another thing that we call, we're a Catholic school. So we do, with our teams, like we do a jersey ceremony where, and we have our parents, it can be a mom or a dad, and we get our teams together, and then we have the parents come up and they kind of present the jersey to their daughter. And, you know, they get up there and say a lot of cool things, you know, hey, I'm really proud of my daughter. You know, she took a chance to go out for this team or whatever. And we do it at all levels. So it's a freshman level, JV level, and varsity level. So really proud of our jersey ceremony. It's been probably one of the best things that we've done, that we get a lot of great feedback from that, because a lot of kids never really hear from their dads that, hey, I love you, or hey, I'm proud of you, or you know, they don't get that affirmation. So that's a really good time for them to kind of hear those words. And we try to do it, you know, before the season, you know, so then they get their jersey and then they can kind of go on and play the year. So so those two things have been really cool for us. You know, our one team theme and our jersey ceremony.
I love that jersey presentation. What a great way to, as you mentioned, connect the parents, you know, with the kids and get them involved. You know, one of our themes now, even nationally, is partnering with parents. So it's a great way to get them involved. Boy, I hope our listeners are going to go out and steal that idea. What a great one. Okay?
Yeah, and it's also good because, you know, a lot of kids go through things that other kids don't know, you know, and so when you're around your team and then you hear your parents go up there, like you might be like, oh, I never knew that about Betsy or whatever. And so it also gives a connection with not only your parents, but with everybody on your team.
Again, we're talking about all the great things about that. The cynical part in my AD brain goes, do you have to kind of script the parents a little bit? Do you ever have anybody go rogue and, do a 30-minute presentation?
Yeah, we try to kind of have to give the hook a little bit, but no, we give them kind of a paragraph outline. If anybody wants to email me, I can certainly share that. But we kind of give them a little guideline about what to talk, and and then we tell them too, because some people don't have, they might not have a parent, or like their most significant person in life might be their uncle or their aunt. So they're free to bring that person. So we do give them a little, like, we'll send an email home and say, hey, we're going to have our jersey ceremony on this night, and here's some talking points.
Give them a little coaching. Yeah. You mentioned reaching out. Let's go and do this now. We'll do it again at the end of the podcast. But if one of our listeners did want to reach out, pick your brain a little bit, how can they get in touch with you? What's the best way?
The best way would be to just email me at dmoir, MOIR, at shslou.org, or you can go to our the Kentucky's High School Athletic Association website, and there's a school directory on there, and you can find it right there. Or you can always text me at 502-643-2919.
All right.
I think everybody has my cell phone, so there you go.
Donna Moir, certified athletic administrator and AD and girls basketball coach at Sacred Heart Academy in Louisville. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with some more. Please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support of the podcast. They are on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. They have a variety of interactive touchscreen video consoles, along with an extensive library of templates to make it easier than ever to recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. For ideas on how to showcase your school's diverse history, along with your proudest moments, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com or learn more and get started with your digital Wall of Fame tribute. Call them at 614-981-3589, or you can email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. Welcome back, everyone. We're visiting with Donna Moir, certified athletic administrator, and she is the director of athletics and the head girls basketball coach at Sacred Heart Academy in Louisville, Kentucky. Coach, one of the questions we've been asking our ADs has to do with this idea of toughness. A long time ago when I was in high school, it was very common for my coaches to say something like, come on, Jake, you got to be tough, or come on, Jake, you got to suck it up. And we knew what they meant back then. And I think over the years, we found maybe better ways to communicate that thought to our student athletes. But toughness is such an important component of sports and of life. So my question to you is this: how do we coach kids these days to be tough while also being sensitive to and aware of the challenges that a Generation Z kid is going through? Do you have any advice for us?
That is really hard. It's a tough question. I'm seeing a lot. Even though our programs have been very successful, mental health is a thing, and you got to let these girls and these guys know you care. Like, if they know you care, they're going to run through a wall from you. And the other thing that you got to know is that you're there for them. And so we try to check in with our players every day. They might not know that's what we're doing, but when we're shooting, we're walking around saying, how was your day? Hey, what happened today? Or talk to them. I know I've got, a lot of players that see therapists, we call them their feelings doctor, and so you've got to allow time. If they need to miss a practice because they've got a appointment or something, then you've got to be understanding of that. Now, they can't take advantage of that, but you've got to be sensitive and be and know where they are on that scale. So it's still not going to get them out of running the hard drills or getting yelled at or something. But like I said, if the kids know you care, then you can push them. But the days of getting on the line and running, I don't do that, and even my own daughter-in-law would say, Coach Moyer, like, you've gotten soft, like you've really gotten soft. And I'm like, no, I hope to say that, like, I didn't coach the same way 30 years ago that I coach now, because I hope that I have changed with the times and stayed up with kids. Cause, I tell them I don't feel like I'm getting any older because I'm coaching the same age group every year. So, but you have to be aware of where they are mentally and just be there for them. If they need somebody to talk to, that you're there, or one of your coaches are there. Or a player, you might say, hey, Olivia had a tough day today. Hey, Reagan, can you give her a call and make sure she's okay today? So you're constantly aware of like how everybody's doing and check-ins and that kind of thing. I mean, that's what I do. I don't know if it's the right thing to do or not, but that's what my coaching staff tries to do. And there's kids, you'll walk up to and say, hey, how was your day today? And they're like, bad. And you're like, okay, well, why was it so bad? Let's talk about this. Our kids with school, but mental health is tough. I mean, it's easier when you see somebody that broke their ankle, because you can look at an x-ray and say, hey, I can see why that's broken, and all these things that you can't see, concussions, mental health, it's hard. And you try to just be aware of, like I said, that everybody goes through something. I mean, I've gone through a lot, you've probably gone through a lot. So you got to be mindful of, it's not just come in here and kick their butt every day in practice. Like, you've got to really get to know these kids and understand where they're coming from.
You brought up so many great points. And I think probably the overall theme that I got was, you talked about they got to know how much you care. It's that old cliche. They don't care what you know until they know how much you care. So, great stuff. This has been really cool, hearing about your program, getting to know you a little bit. Again, one of our previous guests recommended you. So I appreciate you spending time, especially during a very busy time for playoff basketball. But we're not quite done. We always wrap up with what we call the Athletic Director's Toolbox, which is sponsored by Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. So we're going to take a quick break, hear from Athletic Surveys. And when we come back, we're going to find out what an award-winning coach and AD is going to put in her Athletic Director Toolbox. So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to thank Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack for sponsoring the Athletic Director Toolbox segment of our podcast. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack is a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic program. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack also connects you with the 95% of the parents and the student athletes who really love your program. And it gives them a voice to help demonstrate the importance that a positive athletic experience has for them. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out their testimonials, and then give them a call at 1-800-738-6466, or you can email them at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Talk to the folks at Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack and let them help show you how to take your athletic program from good to great. Welcome back. It's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting with Donna Moir, certified athletic administrator from Sacred Heart Academy in Louisville, Kentucky. Donna, you're certainly an experienced AD, an award-winning AD and coach. But right now I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new athletic director on their very first job. But I'm only going to let you put 3 things in their toolbox. What 3 items are going to go in Donna Moir's athletic director toolbox?
I guess number 1 was I can't remember whose athletic director's office was, and they had this big 6-month whiteboard, and it had you could erase it, and it was 6 months, and you could put up on that whiteboard all your activities for the day. And so in my athletic office, I have this big whiteboard that has, a 6-month calendar And on that, and I keep that religiously, and you wouldn't believe how many people walk in my office and they look in there and they say, oh, this is what we're doing today. So definitely a 6-month wall calendar would be something that I would put in there. I definitely would have my cell phone. And in my cell phone, I would have all my important contacts. I couldn't go anywhere without my cell phone. And I keep everybody's contact, whether it's, the media, other athletic directors, coaches, whatever. So my cell phone would be the other one. And the other thing is I'd have a great administrative assistant if you're fortunate to have one, because my assistant athletic directors keep me on task. They're able to do all the little things. I feel like a lot of times I do a lot of big projects and they're the girls working there every day with the kids. So surround yourself with good people. Kind of walk into a room, know the feeling of the room. You got to know when you have good coaches, when you have bad coaches. Get out and then my fourth thing would be, if you could clone yourself, because I think as a athletic director, and especially in a female, it's important to be seen. Like, go to a golf match, go to a tennis match, go to a swim meet or archery thing. Cause those kids don't necessarily see the athletic director or see anybody from your school. So, you get a lot of PowerPoints if you go to those kind of things. And I love golf. I like tennis, but I try to go to as many athletic events as I can, because I think it's important and people know you're there. They look for you. There's so many times where I walk to, I'll go to a golf match or something and people will say, I've never seen an athletic director ever at a golf match, and it's really cool that you're here. So I think, cloning yourself to get to all the events, to get as many as you can, because in a way it matches. Because a lot of times when you're home and you're working a volleyball match or you're working a basketball game or something, you're so busy working that you don't really get to watch. And so it's always nice to go somewhere else, be seen and, where you can just watch the game and talk to people or whatever. So those would be my 4 things.
Those are great tools. I love the 6-foot board. I would tell our coaches, okay, you might have a game on the website or you might have a game listed here, but if it's not on my board, it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
And the being seen thing, so very important. I was at a couple of different schools here in Florida, and when I would get there, I would do that. I was at the golf matches and swim meets and tennis, and I would hear the same thing. Boy, we've never had an AD, come to our event. So very important. Great stuff. Donna, one more time, if one of our listeners wants to reach out and pick your brain a little bit, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
I would say the best way, just email me at dmoir, MOIR @shslou.org. I'm always interested in hearing other people's stories and sharing with people if they want to share. I'd be glad to help you guys in any way.
Okay. Donna Moir, certified athletic administrator and AD and head girls basketball coach of the playoff bound Sacred Heart Academy girls basketball team. Thanks so much for being on the podcast.
All right, Jake, thanks for having me and good luck. And when I get done with basketball season, I'm going to take some time and get your book and read it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Okay. For our listeners, remember the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews are uploaded to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you listening today. Come back again next time for another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to thank Hometown Ticketing for their support. Hometown Ticketing is the leading digital ticketing provider for schools and colleges. You can find out more about what Hometown Ticketing can do for you by going to hometownticketing.com. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing.